there would be no cell phones. Well, who's Mr. Knoll?
Yeah, but Munger.
Oh, Munger has it. Okay, let's get out practice test number 3. Remember, boys and girls, we do have a test on Tuesday. So here is practice test number 3. Are you ready? Everybody ready? Here we go. Practice test number 3. This is our last time through a practice test. So we want to make sure that all of our questions get answered. Okay, here's the problem. All right. How do we start? Factor. When you factor, please double check and make sure you have factored correctly. Make sure that you have factored correctly when you factor. What do you notice about the bottom? We can take out a 2, and when we do, we're going to have the difference of squares. That has happened in a lot of our problems, guys. So we want to make sure that, Evan, my friend, we're glad you're here. Make sure you know how to factor the difference of squares, because it happens in most of our problems. X squared minus 1, x minus 1, x plus 1. All right, well, we got a cancellation. I can't remember if I said this to you already, so I'm going to say it again. Every practice problem we've done has had a cancellation in it, right? So chances are your test problem is going to have a cancellation. So if you don't get something to cancel on your test, go back and double check it. What does this cancellation mean? We're going to have a hole. And the hole is going to be where? -1. Where x is -1. Now, if x is -1, I'm going to plug that in and get y, right? So I have -1 minus 6 and 2 times -1 minus 1. Now, you should not need a calculator for this arithmetic, but you're going to have a calculator on the test. So if you cannot do this in your head correctly, then type it in on your calculator. -1 minus 6 is -7. Oh, it is 5. Speaking of doing it correctly, thank you. -6. And then 2 times -2. So I have 6 over 4, 3/2. Does that look okay? Did I do that right? That's 1 1/2, so I'll put it right here. All right, now you've got a whole list of stuff you still need. We need the intercepts and the asymptotes. I have these out of order, so make sure you get them in the right order on your paper here. So tell me what else we have.
Y-intercept equals 1/2.
Y-intercept is 1/2.
Or
Now,
horizontal asymptote.
okay, which one is it? Horizontal
Horizontal
asymptote is y equals 1/2. Now, the reason he said the horizontal asymptote is 1/2 is, look at my problem right here. Y equals x over 2x. Y equals x over 2x. That's 1/2. So his horizontal asymptote is y equals 1/2. By the way, you can also tell that back at the beginning. Can you see it right from the beginning here? Y equals 1/2. All right, what else do we have? The vertical asymptote is if x equals 1. Remember, these are equations. make sure you're putting x equals or y equals. Y is the or the vertical asymptote 1.
That makes it 0.
Makes the bottom 0. And anything that makes the bottom 0 is a vertical asymptote. In your final problem, that is. Alright, now the intercepts are not equations. The intercepts are points. And intercepts always have one of their coordinates as 0.
Yep.
And it's the one that's not the intercept you're finding. So, x-intercept will have a y of 0. Y-intercept will have an x of 0. Right? So, here we go.
You get 5 equals x for y.
So,
I mean, no, for x.
for the x-intercept.
Yeah.
Here's your equation right here. If we put in 0 for the y,
X equals 5.
then x is going to turn out to be 5.
Yep.
So your x-intercept is 5, 0. Now, if we do exactly the same thing,
Hello, Miss Ford.
yes,
Is Kyle Place in the room?
he is,
Can you please send him to the front office?
sure.
Thank you.
Do you do 5 halves for y intercept?
So if I put in 0
For x.
for x, let's see, if I put in 0 for x, I have this. 5 over 2, 5 halves, which is 1, 2 and a half. And then, since you've been in this class and we've been practicing these for a long, long time, you should be able to see a picture,
I do see it.
a reciprocal function in there. And when you draw it, you're going to put arrows on the ends, and you're going to make sure that those arrows are snuggling right up to those asymptotes. They're not curving off or doing something weird, they're just getting closer and closer to the asymptotes. And of course, you're not just going to draw one, you're going to draw the other one too, right? Both pieces. Anybody have a question about that? Johnny, was your hand up, or what's the deal? I've got various work in various places. Here are the answers. Okay, guess what happens now? Now we got a page of inequalities. So what are we going to do with every single problem on this page?
Move the number over.
We're going to get a 0.
Yeah,
So if it doesn't already have a 0, we're going to get a 0. So the first thing you're going to do with this problem is subtract 2x. Right?
Yep.
Now what are you going to do?
Factor.
You're going to factor it. And when we say factor this one, we're not all confused. It's a GCF. We're just going to take out
And x.
x. And then with all of our inequalities, after we have them factored, we draw ourselves a number line. Going to be 2 dots on this number line,
0.
and those dots are going to be closed in. Ava, what's the matter, honey?
So hot.
You're hot?
Yeah.
Are you feeling okay?
No.
Do you need to go see the nurse?
No.
Okay. All right. Where are those dots going to be?
Oh, 0.
0 and 2. Remember, when there's a plain x, not an x plus 3 or an x minus 5, just a plain x, it's 0. Now let's pick a number, any number, except 0 and 2. What do you want to pick?
-1.
-1. If we pick -1, pay attention. You're allowed to pick any number you want, but make sure you're looking at the right part of the number line. This is where -1 is. It would be -1 times -3,
Yep.
which is +3.
Yep.
Is +3 less than 0?
No.
So I don't shade that, which means I do shade this, and I don't shade that. So my answer is everything between 0 and 2. And that's how I write it. Because Miss Ford's going to take off points if you do not write your answer the right way. You're either going to write it this way or you're going to write it this way. That's how we write answers when it's a section between two numbers. Alright, what about B? These used to be hard, but we've practiced enough of them. I think you're getting the hang of it.
Subtract 2 over.
So we'll start by subtracting 2. And I usually make that 2 over 1.
Yep.
Because I am subtracting fractions. Which means I need to get a common denominator, which is x plus 5.
X minus 1 minus 2x.
Now I know you can do this, just do it carefully. So my denominator is x plus 5.
And then x minus 1 minus 2x.
X minus 1
Minus 2x.
minus 2x
Minus 10.
minus 10. Perfect. Simplifying it to -x minus 11.
Yes.
Still need to get that -x.
I need 2 dots on my number line.
Yep.
There's going to be a dot from the bottom and a dot from the top. And the bottom dot is obvious, -5. The top one,
X equals
don't
-11.
risk it. Set it equal to 0 and solve it. So it looks like the top dot is going to be at -11.
11. Yes.
So I have a dot at -11 and a dot at -5. Monty, what you doing?
Can you sign my permission slip, please?
Sure. I'm not doing anything better.
Well, let's leave it for you.
Put your name on it and not sign it with your name on it.
Where you going, Monty?
So someone is picking it. It's not a bit of a
So you missing today?
Just hold that.
There you go. Good luck, go team. Next time, take care of business ahead of time. Alright, so anyhow, I've got dots at -11 and -5. So now what do? Same thing I do every time. What number you want to try?
-4.
-4. Now -4 is out here,
Yes.
okay? So -4 would be -4 minus 11 over -4 plus 5. Now, what's -4?
Positive.
Positive 4 minus 11
Negative
-7
yeah.
over 1.
Yep.
Is that bigger than 0?
No.
No. So I'm not shading where the
You're
-4
shading in
is.
between
I'm shading in between again. And that will be
Everything between.
-11 to -5, or parentheses this time because they're open dots. This is the problem, remember, that can have one open and one closed. Now, this one is all open because of the symbol, but if there's an or equal to, remember, the denominator dot will always be open no matter what the symbol is in the problem. Okay?
Yep.
So far, so good. All right, now we got one more. This one's already set equal to 0,
So you have to like check all of them.
and it's already factored. So it starts off super simple. there's really no work to do. You know you've got two dots. They are at -1 and +2. But because of this, you are going to have to check, just like you checked a number here in the last problem, you're going to have to check a number in every space because these don't alternate. All right, so here we go. Pick a number out here.
-2.
-2. So that would be -2 minus 2
-4.
squared.
16.
-2 plus 1
-1.
is 16 times -1 bigger than 0.
No.
No, so I don't shade it. All right, pick a number in here.
0.
0, great choice. 0 minus 2
-2.
squared.
4.
0 plus 1
1.
is 4 times 1 bigger than 0.
Yeah.
Pick a number out here.
3.
3. 3 minus 2
1.
squared.
1.
3 plus 1
4.
is 1 times 4 bigger than 0.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is everything greater than -1?
Now, this is a tricky one because if you say everything bigger than -1, you have to stipulate except
Yes.
2. Because is 2 colored in?
No.
No. So you're right, it's everything bigger than -1 except the number 2 is skipped. Now you could also say everything between 1 and 2 or everything bigger than 2. That would be another way of saying that. You can do it this way, that's fine with me. That says what is going on. So does this. As an interval, you would have to do it this way. That would be the interval notation. So in this case, there's 3 different ways you could write it. If these had been closed-in dots, then I wouldn't have to worry about this. That would be just everything bigger than or equal to 1. Why do I always feel like there's some kind of something going on back there? Emma, everything okay?
I just needed chapstick.
You know what that makes me think of? Napoleon Dynamite. The chapstick scene. It is so funny.
Mom, here's some freaking
So funny, I know. And I love, that movie is so stupid that it makes me laugh so much. Okay.
Did you lose my hair there?
And Uncle Rico sitting in the restaurant.
Making nachos.
Yes.
Flynn, I've been chatting on language all day.
And what's the girlfriend's name?
LaFonda.
LaFonda. Oh my gosh.
It's like a boyhood.
I don't even know. I just know that movie is the most stupid thing.
Have you seen Benchwarmers?
I think so.
It's got the same guy in it. It's also got David Spade in it too.
Oh yeah, I have seen it. I have seen it. Napoleon Dynamite just sticks in my head as something that's
That's
so
the
dumb.
funniest movie ever.
It is funny. Another one that's so funny, that's got a little bit of inappropriate stuff in it, is Animal House. Have you guys ever watched that? It's an older one. It's an old movie.
Yeah.
All right. Anyway, here we go. Another inequality. How are we gonna solve it?
Oh, bring the 10x minus 24.
Bring that stuff over. You gotta have a 0.
PRs.
And then Jalen's right. You know there's going to be factors, and you have to do that because you have to have dots on your number line. And they're gonna come from the factors. The problem is that doesn't group. And hopefully you can kind of tell that. If you can't tell it, try it. It won't work. So that means we have to guess some numbers. So James Wayne has guessed -3. And that's a perfectly good guess remember we're guessing factors of 24, right? And so -3 is a factor, so here we go. It's either gonna work or it's not, and if it doesn't, we'll just pick a different number and try again. But James Wayne did not let us down. It works. Which means we have a factor of x plus 3.
Then x minus 4
Right.
minus 2.
And then we have left x squared minus 6x plus 8,
X minus 4 minus 2.
which is x minus 4 and x minus 2. Is everybody still with us? Thank you. So now we're ready to put our dots on the number line?
-3, 2, and 4.
Thank you. Notice Emma put those on there in the right order. Now we get to pick a number, any number we want.
-4.
-4. If we pick -4, we get -1 times -8 times -6, which is -48.
That's not.
Is that bigger than 0?
Don't shade it.
So I don't shade that one. So I will shade this one. Will.
Mhm.
And I think my dot should be colored in.
Yep.
So I write that. Everything between -3 and 2, or everything greater than 4,
Yeah.
or interval notation, whoops, brackets, because those are closed dots. Why was I able to alternate that? I only checked one number. Why was
Because
I
it
able?
wasn't squared.
None of these are squared, right? It's only if you put something like that on it that you end up with trouble. Okay, well that's it for the inequalities. Now we have an equation to solve. So what do you want to do with this guy?
Times it by 6, times it by 3, and times it by x.
So Emma says we could times it by 3 and 6 and x.
Was this 4?
You could certainly times it by less than that,
Just 6x.
just 6x. That would be fine. But for canceling purposes, I think some of you just like to have the actual number there that you can just slash out. So that would leave you with 12x. Oh, 72. 15x. Now, if you do multiply by just 6x, which is absolutely fine, then you won't get quite these big a numbers. You'll get smaller numbers. So 3x equals 72. I got 24.
Yep.
So if you multiplied by something other than 3 times 6 times x, if you still got 24, you are okay. There are lots of things we can multiply by to cancel those denominators. All right, well, f is exactly the same kind of problem, it's just bigger. So what do I do to get f started?
Factor everything.
Yep, I factor every denominator. Every denominator is factored. So the middle one factors the difference of squares, so I'll factor it.
Multiply the top by x plus 2x minus 2.
Now we do, you know how over here, guys, you said let's multiply by 3 and x and 6. That's because those were the denominators, right? So what are my denominators here? X plus 2, x minus 2. X plus 2, x minus 2. X plus 2, x minus 2. I'm multiplying by each factor that's in the denominators. So I have x minus 2, minus, what happens here? Just 1, it's all gone. 2x plus 4,
Yep.
What kind of an equation is this? It's gonna be a squared, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we're gonna need to get it set equal to 0, kids. Squared equations have to be set equal to 0. These do not cancel. When you minus this one over here, you're gonna have x squared minus 4x and minus 5.
Yep.
So it'd be x minus 5x plus 1.
And this is the place where if you want to use the quadratic formula, you can. This one does factor pretty easily, but you're allowed to use the quadratic
Extraneous
formula.
solutions.
So we get x equals 5 and x equals negative 1. And then we have one more thing to do. Check for extraneous roots. So go back to the original, and you can tell if you're paying attention right from the beginning, the extraneous roots would be what? If we were gonna have
2
them,
and negative 2.
they'd be negative 2 or positive 2. Well, we didn't get those, so we don't have any extraneous roots. You all following along? Okay. Chandler can complete the econ project in 10 hours. If Maura helps, it takes 8 hours. How long does it take Maura alone? The equation will be 1 over 10 plus 1 over x equals 1 over 8. Does anyone have an issue with that? Everybody understands why those numbers are where they are? So is this just like the one we did earlier? We can multiply by 8 and 10 and x. Now,
Multiply by 40.
you can multiply by 40x, but 8 and 10 will work great. So we end up with 8x plus 80 equals 10x.
Minus the 8.
So 80 equals 2x.
2x equals 40.
40 equals x.
40 hours. And of course, you know some of you from your quizzes that if you don't put hours, I'm marking points off. Label your answers on these word problems. Okay. Last one. This is our mixture problem, our solution problem. So here we go. How much 53% should be mixed with 30% to get 12 gallons of a 45%? All right, now I'm going to stop and I want everybody to look at that and make sure that makes sense to you, because on your quiz, some of you are putting these numbers in random places that I don't understand. So see where I put those numbers? Does that all make sense to you, that those are where they belong? Look at the one that's missing then. What am I going to put in the one that's missing?
12 minus x.
12 minus x. 12 minus x. No other choices. Nothing else. 12 minus x is the only option. So 0.53x plus 3.6 minus 0.30x equals what is that? I should know that. 540, 5.40. So we're going to combine these. So 0.23x. Keep an eye on my arithmetic. And I'll subtract that. And I'm going to divide. And we're ready to do that. got 7.83. And that was balance. Everybody okay with that? Any issues? Very good. All right, either grab a marker or a piece of blank paper, scrap paper, and we're gonna work with a partner, whoever's sitting at your desk. And we're gonna do a problem. You can do it on the desk or do it on a piece of paper, I don't care. We're gonna do a problem. And I would like someone to do it on the board. So you and your partner actually do it up here. Okay, Emma has volunteered, so Emma and Kyle. Emma, you guys do it on that board? Okay, so Kyle and Jalen, you just got volunteered, you're on that board. And then Emma, who's helping you?
Oh,
You don't have
I don't
anyone.
have anyone.
Okay, all right. So here's what we're gonna start with. We're gonna start with this problem.
Is this us too?
Everybody, yep, everybody in the room is starting with this problem.
X minus 2.
Hey, you want some?
All right, here you go. Everybody's working on this problem. Ava, I think they turned on like the air conditioning. I'm starting to get cold. Are you still hot?
Same.
You're hot too?
Yeah, I don't feel good, so.
Yeah, I think you're, of course, you're wearing a down vest or something too. I mean, that may have something to do with it.
But I don't still. That's fine.
You're okay. Landon says sure. Those aren't like the best. Those are Irish suckers. Aren't they cool? Candy.
No, thank you.
Piece of leftover open house candy. Hurry up. Everybody is busy. Wow, both groups at the board got the same answer. What about you at your seats?
Is -1 filled in? This supposed to be filled?
-1 is filled in because in this problem, everything's filled in. This is a little bit different than the one we did on the practice test, because on the practice test, the dots were open. So when she shaded in these two consecutive regions, that dot was actually filled in, so everything less than 2 was shaded. On the practice test, remember that dot was open? No, it's closed. These are closed dots. So how did we do? That's a test question. Would you have gotten it right? Yep.
Well, wait, if I do this one, like, if I shade that part, is that bad?
No, that part is shaded.
Oh,
These are all shaded.
okay.
Everything less than 2 is
Well,
shaded.
why don't we shade that one?
This is the way to write the answer.
Okay.
Now, if you're doing it as an interval, it would be this. That would be your answer.
Oh, okay.
We don't skip over -1. It's included in the set.
Okay.
When is it skipped over when you stop?
When the dot's open. Okay? All right, I need a couple more volunteers at the board, and we'll do the next problem, which is this one.
Matt got it.
Okay? So, where are my wonderful volunteers?
Is that on the board?
You need me to come up?
No.
Thank you, Marita. Who else is gonna volunteer over here? Well, I think that's wonderful that you'll do it again. No one else will do it up here? All right, go ahead. This is another test question, so I'll make sure we can get it right. Just a second. You know anything about Tanner? He was on here yesterday too. We don't go to Habitat twice, do we? Who would ask a question? Uh-oh, stop in the name and walk. Let's look up here what Kyle's doing. First of all, we're very, very happy he's the only volunteer. The rest of you slugs stayed out there and made him do the work. But he has made a mistake. What is our first thing?
Minus over the 2.
Gotta get 0. We have to get 0. So the first thing we need to do is subtract the 2 over.
How do you know you fill in there? What do you mean? How do we know you fill in?
It's equal.
'Cause it's-
It's the original sign.
Something weird over here. Oh.
You did it right.
I just don't know how we, like,
Rita, you're doing it.
right, you don't know how to, like, graph it either, right? You don't shade in.
I think you should in the middle.
Come up here, Coach Kyle. You might get stuck again. He looks like he's on the right track now.
Do we shoot on the outfit in the
Oh. I don't know. We have to figure that out.
If you plug in -9, you get 110.
Yeah, I think you're right. Let me do it though.
How is that correlating?
Well, you just decide, is it bigger than 0? Is that number bigger than 0? 1/10, is it bigger than 0? It's negative over negative.
Oh, I got it.
Wait, that was -9. Where's -9 on the number line? Yeah, that's where you should be.
But this one are the ones that are alternating.
Yes. All of them are gonna alternate except the one that we started with, the squared one. Otherwise, you test one number and then it alternates. And then Marita, you're gonna write your answer, sweetie. Cause it's a great number line. I think it might be right, but we need to write our answer.
If it all has a square on it, do we still fill in the bubble on like the number lines?
Oh, if it's more equal to, yeah, that doesn't have anything to do with the the coloring in the dots or not. If it's not equal to, you color in the dots. You just have
Line
to check if
underneath
it's
the-
fixed. The only time you always, if it's just greater than or less than, the dots are open.
They're still equal
If it's
to.
more equal
Oh,
to,
wait.
the dots are closed.
Yeah.
Always.
Can they both be equal to?
Unless you have a denominator.
Or, yeah.
That is the only time.
I don't know.
No. You're right.
All right, let's see our answers. Less than or equal to -8 or greater than 1. They both came up with the same answer. What do the rest of you
I
think?
got that.
You got that too?
We're most likely correct.
Yeah, you understand everything you just did? You ready with that? Everybody okay with that? All right, next, let's have another group of volunteers, or the same volunteers, I don't care. A new group would be great, but if the same ones wanna come, that's fine. Let's see, how much 82% solution to be mixed with 39% solution to get 8 pints of 48% solution. Here we go. James Wayne, you got a calculator handy? Yours is in the lead, this one probably. Emma, here? All right, let's see the problem. Good job. Work it out, Matthew. Don't just sit there like you're on vacation. Very good, Ava. Very good. What's gonna go in that parentheses right here is exactly what James Wayne has and exactly what Emma has. 8 minus X. Don't put X minus 8. That's gonna be wrong every time. Every time. 8 minus X. Pardon me?
Why can't the X go first? So like,
Oh,
X minus X,
okay,
why
because
can't
subtraction is not communicated.
Okay.
So if I said to you, I'm gonna mix, you have 5 gallons of stuff, and I don't know how much she has, but I know altogether you have 8 gallons. How would I find out how much she has? Like 8 minus 5?
Yeah.
No, 5 minus 7. It has to be the total. Minus.
I think I
24 plus 31. Yeah. I like that you're exercising your brain all over there.
You know.
I wish you weren't exercising your jaws quite as much.
Oh, Brooks, you're just so nice.
All right, Emma got 1.67. What did you get? 1.67. My guess is that's the right answer. Since they both got it, what'd you get, Matthew?
I added a 3 on accident, so that I know. I was like, yeah, I know I didn't get that right, but I don't know.
I know what I'm doing. Anybody have a question about that one? You okay?
Yeah.
All right. Maybe one more.
Oh, are we gonna do? Yeah.
All right, let's go. Last one. When you get this thing done, you can go. This is a big one now. You're graphing it. Giving me horizontal, vertical, intercepts, whole, and graph. Who's taking this one on? Doing it there. Jalen's got it over there. That's perfect. Who will do it over here?
I was gonna do it here. I was gonna do it on my table.
Jalen, go ahead. You got it. Kyle can help you.
Yeah, I'll get up here.
Monica, you want to do it up here? Okay, we do something. You can't just sit there and sway in your chair.
I'll go up there and do it. Can you help me while I'm doing it?
Yep. Or so will the audience. You got Magnus right up here. He'll help you.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Thank you, Brooks.
Listen, you've been here, what, on time 2 days in a row? That's pretty, we're on a streak.
Yeah.
The 4X.
On the bottom.
Right there.
Mm-hmm. X squared minus 4x
2x minus 3.
plus 3.
X minus 1.
Wait,
Yeah.
what are you calculating here?
Pick this one up.
It's 2x minus 3, x minus 1.
Every single person should be working on this, guys.
What's the second one? X minus 1. It should cancel out. X minus 1 on the bottom, too.
Okay,
Yeah.
something about your top. is
Uh-oh.
Did you mean? Is that what you meant? Let me see if that's right.
Uh-oh.
That works.
No,
So
it
no,
doesn't.
out.
Let's put the 3 here. A 1 here. And make it 1 positive. Try that. Let's see, -6 plus 1. Yes, that works.
Still canceling out a -3. Yeah, okay. Horizontal is 2.
Because that gives you a -3.
Oh.
All right, did everybody get over? Brooks, what are you doing?
Trying to get my cap and my marker.
Did, thank you, because if we don't cap them, they dry up and we can't use them, so I appreciate you making it cap. Did everybody get a whole at 3 comma something? Emma got 7/2. What did this sound like? 7/2. We're working on it. Looks like the whole is at 3 comma 7/2. Is that what you got?
Yep.
Yep. So we have an open circle in our picture at 3 comma 3.5.
Okay.
Anybody was a quiz I turned back yesterday.
Horizontal would just be 2, right?
Okay, the horizontal asymptote would be the equation y equals 2. Is that right?
I think.
Did you hear that? So glad.
Y equals 2 is my horizontal asymptote. Is everybody okay with that?
Yeah.
Now, it's all jolly good, it's Friday, you're excited about a week, and we have a test, people, and we wanna do well on it, so try to focus for a few more minutes. Y equals 2, perfect. What's my, vertical asymptote?
I got X equals 1.
X equals 1, you're right. Excuse me. If you got X equals 1, you are right. Because that's what makes the denominator equal to 0. Right? Okay. Wait, you need Y equals 2. And X equals 1.
Yeah.
So you gotta graph it.
Alright.
Now, some of us miss our intercepts. So, Jalen got an x-intercept at negative 1/2 comma 0.
Whoa.
No, that's right. That's right. Your x-intercept, nope, you missed it. Where did we do that? Where's our root for that? Oh, right here.
Negative 1/2.
You multiply that over, that's C0. Right? So then you're gonna subtract 1 and divide by 2.
Oh.
So are we okay with everybody getting an x-intercept of negative 1/2? And
Wait,
you
I
get,
got my y-intercept.
y-intercept is negative 1.
Oh
Because, look at this work, Emma, look. See right, see right here? That's the y spot. So when you put 0 in for y, this is the point you're doing, that's y.
Oh.
So did you get negative 1/2 for your x? Okay.
That's how you do Y.
Yep. Which is negative 1. Perfect.
I see reciprocal function.
Oh, thank goodness, I'm so glad, because you should see a reciprocal function. We have done so many of these now, if you don't see a reciprocal function, something is wrong. Go back and check some of your numbers. The picky little point, because you know I love to pick off 1/8 all over the place. The picky little point is going to happen when you draw these arrows. Where do those arrows have to be? Snuggling up with the asymptotes. Okay, wait, nobody leaves until we have all the desks erased,
Everybody hug.
boards put, markers erased.
It's hug day.
And it's on
Hug day.
It is on